Hey guys, Thursday, that's Viewer's Choice Tech Video Day. Got some questions about ECUs and tuning. More people are looking for stuff that you can tune yourself. There's mixed emotions about that, and there's a few reasons. So you guys are talking about a market that you can't really get in the car and drive it down the freeway. It's something that's used in a very specialty application in a very special place, and it's limited use. So these guys going for Holly stuff, it's a great product for street cars. It doesn't lend itself well to off-road. They run away. We've seen that happen, but it doesn't mean it's a bad product. It just has to be applied properly to this market. Some of the other questions is, you guys are kind of tired of Mephies. I touched on that in another video, and guys were looking for alternative stuff. I had one question asking about Mega Squirt stuff. They make a great product. They make good harnesses. Once again, just doesn't completely fit in the market that I'm after, but you could do it. One of the reasons why I don't go that way is for the newer stuff, because it's going to be drive-by-wire, and it does not support drive-by-wire. That being said, what does it take to tune an ECU? And some ECU examples. Well, to tune an ECU, first of all, you need to have a tunable ECU. You need to have a cable to hook to it, and the software to let you actually tune that. And there's different levels and ways that happens. So I'll put a couple inserts in here, but here's a micro squirt. I think you guys have seen me show these before. They use these in really 4-cylinder applications. This is a Mega Squirt product. Works really well, has a ton of little cool little features, and they have these adapted for LS stuff. The issue is it does not have stepper, IAC, or idle air control natively in that. So you lose your idle air control. Some guys get away with it just fine. I don't think that's okay. I want the car to fire up when you crank it in the morning. So that is not a great product for what I'm trying to accomplish. Another product that I see used and people are bringing here is HP tuners. So here's an actual HP tuners tuning module. This is the MPVI Pro. So what this guy does is it has some inputs, so we can put some inputs into here, and I'll give some close-ups of this. So you can put wideband in here and some other sensors and tune. You can put your fuel table, timing table, and a few other tables in here, so you can, I'll call it semi-live tune it. The software has to support it. Not a lot of cars use factory ECUs in this market. It is more prevalent on the East Coast, so like when I was in Michigan, there was one, and I'll see a few here. They've made their way. Also not completely the right ECU for this market, but it works great for a lot of the applications. Another thing that some people use, which is very similar to HP tuners, is EFI Live. EFI Live has some cool stuff for a drag racing market, not really, once again, geared toward the off-road market, but it works just fine. And some of the softwares, let's get into that. To tune this stuff, some of them are not very user-friendly, and that's where we have a disconnect. AM has a product, I've said that. Software, I think, is probably over user-friendly. So I've heard people say the core, and there's some stuff going on that I can't touch in the background based on the firmware, which is difficult. I like going to more universal applications. I've used just about any ECU you can imagine. I do like the Link stuff, which is I think a subsidiary of Vipec now. So a lot of those really high-end features that they had in some of these ECUs, you see those a lot over in the East, in Europe and the Middle East. Guys are using those for those very high horsepower 6-cylinder deals, and they also have some setups for UTVs now. A very good product. Not in this market. I don't really know why. Maybe it's harness availability. I couldn't tell you. Maybe shops don't push it. I don't know. But that being said, I see some Motec stuff coming into play. But an ECU is only part of this equation. Without boring you, which I'll have some video to put on it, you really need the tuning tools to also tune it. That's a dyno. So there are different types of dynos. I don't want to get too into it in this video because this wasn't what this video was meant to be. It was more about explaining some ECU and some tuning stuff. But you need the right dyno, and what we have here is the right dyno. It's the right width. It's really the right roller weight for what we're doing, so we can respond to changes very quickly. And we have load control for steady state tuning. Steady state tuning is holding it. The feature we use the most here is a steady RPM or steady mile per hour. So we can set the rollers to maintain a certain speed These cars most likely 99+% don't have a torque converter in them. It's a manual with a clutch and it's locked to the engine. So we hold that RPM at a certain RPM and we can turn those tables. So I'll put a video in right here, and I'm actually going to watch the video so I can explain it to you guys. And what's happening in this video is I'm actually steady state tuning. This happens to be an AAM Series 2 with a Honda. And if you can look, the load is on the left, and that's the columns going up is a load, and the row going across is our RPM. So we can hold in the row and or the column and tune based on load. So I'm varying the throttle, I'm looking at air fuels, and I'm going up and tuning each one of those cells. When you don't have a steady state dyno, you cannot do that. So it becomes very hard for tunability to get that stuff perfect, which that's what we want in this market. We want 100% tunability and drivability in these cars. Very, very important. So having all the right tools and understanding how to use them is very, very important to making this whole thing work as a system. I see guys tuning on dyno jets with no load control or dynos with no load control. It's never going to be a solid tune. Those dynos are really meant for product changes and testing horsepower values. That's really what they are geared for. We have a totally different dyno here. That's, you know, the confusion between dynos, and the reason why we have what we have is so that we can steady state it. I believe the newer dyno jets do have load control, but I still haven't seen one in person, and most of the dyno jets I see do not have that. So if people are arguing over horsepower numbers, that's kind of irrelevant. We tune for drivability, make sure the tune is solid, and those numbers always follow. So we will pull the timing out of the car, trim our air fuels, so we're looking at the right air fuel, where we want it to be, and then we start bringing the timing back in the car, which is when we're igniting that air fuel mixture in that combustion cycle. And that's really what it boils down to. We put fuel on them for starting. When they're cold, we give them a little more fuel. Things like that. So if you have any more tuning questions, without making this video extremely long, it's really about having all the tools and knowing how to use all those tools. Can a lot of you do it yourself? Of course. If you tune a carburetor and you understand how to read plugs, you could do it. But you're going to run into some issues where it's out of your realm and you kind of don't know which direction things are going without having a wideband O2 sensor and things of that nature. So it's just easier to do it in a steady state environment on a dyno, things like that. We can look at what things are doing under heat, load. There's so many more variables and so much data that we gather with the dyno and with our data logging software that we look and analyze, at least I do, as much as possible to come out with the desired outcome. So that's the video for Thursday. Sorry to bore you guys. If you want more information on this, send me some messages. I'll make a supplementary video to this, but this was kind of get your feet wet. Hopefully I didn't confuse you guys, but there's more to it than everyone thinks at times. It's not rocket science, but you do have to have the right tools to do it. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit like. I have some older videos if you want to catch up on some other stuff, and that's it for now. Friday, we got some stuff going on. We'll probably have a couple people over here, and that'll be kind of a surprise video. So for now, keep watching my videos. Thank you very much. I love the support. Have a good Thursday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, office manager said it was about having the right tools. Do I have the right tools?
I hope so.
Get the job done? Oh. We're done here.